Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repairs. Today we got something pretty special. A 1964 Fender Bassman. So I picked this one up locally. I went to the guy's place and tried it out extensively and it sounded great, so I had to have it. So it's all original. It's been serviced. The tubes have been replaced, so I guess, but that's something you need to do on an older amplifier. It's also had the capacitors replaced because they wear out and they need to be replaced as well. And then it's got a 3-prong power supply or cord wired into it because the 2 prongs were dangerous and they can cause fires and stuff like that. It also came with this 212 Bandmaster cabinet from the 60s. So this cabinet's huge, and he said he didn't really know what kind of speakers are in there. It sounds good to me. It sounds really good. So eventually we're going to open it up and have a look. Same with the head. So we'll have a look inside and see how everything's going, and then we'll give it a really good sound demo. I just want to kind of show what I have it hooked up for. Let me just zoom in here. So this is how I have it hooked up, and it seems to be the best configuration for sound at the moment. So I have it spliced from channel 1 to channel 2. So the first channel is like for a bass guitar, and the second channel is usually for normal guitar, like 6-string. And so I have the one channel maxed out for bass, one channel maxed out for treble, and then by using the volume I can control the tone of each channel, and this seems to give really nice breakup and really nice tone. So before we take everything apart, let's just plug it in and see how it sounds quickly. Alright, so I'm just using my 2002 Les Paul Standard, and I'm just plugging right in. I'm using the attenuator, the PS1 Power Soak, just so I can max out the tube sound without absolutely cranking the sound, like the actual decibels, because this amp is extremely loud. So here I am just plugged in with that settings I showed you, just to get a brief idea of what it sounds like to start. Yeah, so it sounds absolutely great. And then with this configuration, with the splicing, you can adjust the tone by either of the volumes. So I've got the second channel, which is the guitar channel, maxed out with bass, and the bass channel maxed out with treble. So if I want more bass, I adjust the guitar channel up, and if I want more treble, I adjust the bass channel up. Alright, so I just turned it down a little bit, so here it is with just a little less breakup. amazing tone, that really nice 60s breakup kind of sound. Kind of that famous Bassman sound. Sounds great. Alright, so I just want to go over the amp a little bit here. So I believe the grill has been replaced. That's what the previous owner said. But yeah, that's the configuration I have for the jumper. So I'm going from bass channel 1 to guitar channel 1, and then I'm plugging into the second channel of guitar channel 2 for my guitar. And here's the cabinet. Again, it's absolutely massive. We're going to take the screws out in the back and see what speakers are in there. And then let's just have a look at the back here. So yeah, it looks like it's missing that back panel that usually you see on there. And then those are the new tubes. It says it's been recently serviced by C4 Soundworks in Edmonton. Those are a really reputable spot for amp repair in Edmonton. Got excellent reviews, so I'm sure whatever Chuck did at C4, it was good work. There's our serial number, which is A01394. So this guitar has all been dated and to 64. We can see that little panel there. Let's see if I can get a better view. But we can see it's the AA864 circuit in there. And we'll take the whole thing out of the chassis so we can see it in a bit here. And then this is the cabinet, which is the 212 60s Bandmaster cabinet. It's huge. I should get the dimensions just to see how big this thing is. And then we're going to take all those screws out and have a look at the back and see what the speakers are. Okay, I have the head out of the chassis here. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the insides. Now, I don't technically know what I'm looking at here, but I'm going to take a video for those who do. I'll just try to get a good detail of all the electronics. So, to my untrained eye, everything looks to be original, but I'm not sure what was maybe replaced for safety reasons during the servicing it went through at C4. But yeah, looks quite original to me. Let's get a good look at the other side here. But yeah, it appears to be all original and hand wired. All these capacitors look original too, so I'm not sure if they were replaced or not, or they were tested and they're in good shape. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over so we can see the bottom. Alright, so there's a code there. And another code there. And I believe that those codes were also used to date this by the previous owner. If I can get anything else worth looking at there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back into the amp, put the screws back in. If you want to remove your chassis from your amp and your head, that's basically on an amp like this. There's just 4 screws in the top that have a bolt on the bottom. So that's just unscrewed, and then the whole thing will come right out. Okay, I've got all the screws out. There were many of them. A lot of the rivets came off too, so we're going to have to put those back on when we put it back together. I just want to make sure I got opening this cab on tape, or on film, so because I've heard a lot of crazy stories about what's in cabinets sometimes. So let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, so first thing I notice is that this little piece just came off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that if I can. No, it looks like it's soldered on. Okay. So it looks like we've got some fiberglass in here. I'm not sure why. Maybe to help with the sound somehow. I'm not really familiar with a lot of cabinet stuff, so maybe someone in the comments could tell me why someone would put fiberglass in here. Okay, so it also looks like this ground is not connected. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Maybe it was over here and then pulling on the cabinet made it fall off. Yeah, I think that is the case. So I'll reattach that in a second. So yeah, just to get an idea of what speakers are in here, it looks like we've got a Seymour Duncan convertible 101, 8 ohm, 12-inch speaker, USA made. And the other one is a Tech 21, 8 ohm, 2112A. And that's made in the USA as well. So kind of just some random speakers in there. The cabinet appears to be pine. And yeah, I'm gonna get some measurements of this cab because it's huge. Yeah, and I'm just not really sure what the fiberglass would actually do. Maybe help dampen the sound a bit, or I'm not sure. Alright, so that was a lot of work for that. So let's put all those screws back in, and we'll go through the amp and go through the sounds that we can get out of it with splicing the channels and just soloing the channels as well. Okay, we have everything back together here and it still works, so that's always a plus. It's nothing that feels worse than when you take something apart and put it back together and it doesn't work anymore. So that's not the case this time. Everything works good. And I just want to go through the different amp settings and the different sounds and kind of come to a conclusion which is my favorite setting for this amplifier. So right now I have it on the guitar channel. I put it number 1. And we're just running it at, I'm using the Bugera PS1 Power Soak Continuator so we can push the amp without it shaking the entire house. So we get that nice breakup at lower volumes. And right now I'm running the volume at 7, the treble's at about 6.5, and the bass is at 8. So we get a little bit more of that bass in there. And I'm just running my 2002 Les Paul Standard, and I'm on the back pickup right now, like the bridge. Because this thing can break up pretty good. just going to turn on the bright switch just to see what that does. And I'm back on the bridge pickup. So yeah, that really does make the treble jump quite a bit there. And then number 2, I believe this is just a decibel, yeah. This is just a channel where the volume's a little bit lower, like the decibels are lower on this channel. So that's the only difference between those. I was going to try the bass channel to see what that sounds like. I'm going to run it on the number 1 and just to do it sounds alright. It's made for bass, so it doesn't sound quite right on a guitar. So now I'm going to show you the patch method I did that I seem to get the best sound out of it, that I really liked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from bass 1 to normal 1, and then I'm going to plug into normal 2. And then, so what this does, and then I'm going to run the bass channel all treble. And then I'm going to run the normal channel all bass. Now I can adjust my volume and my tone by adjusting the volume on each channel. So I also found that I like the deep setting on the bass for this configuration a little bit better as well. So I'm going to run them both at 7 right now and just see what the clean sounds like on the bridge pickup. It's a little bassy, so I'm just going to turn the treble up a little bit, the bass down a little bit. That seems to be the sweet spot, or the best way to run the amp in terms of how it sounds. It's just a lot more dynamic. You get a lot of those bass, a lot more bass in there. I was going to turn it down the whole thing just a little bit, just to see if I can get a better clean sound, because that was breaking up pretty good there. Again, I want a little bit more treble, so I'm going to just the volume on the bass side. So now I'm going to crank it up a little bit, try to get some overdrive, and just get the best sound I can out of this amp for kind of what it's made for, like that 60s kind of a rock, kind of a Marshall sound. Rumor has it that the Blues Breaker was based off the Bassman, so we're going to see if we can get that kind of a sound going. So I'm going to turn everything up quite a bit. As you can hear though, just running quietly, this is a very quiet amp. I'm not getting any hum or buzz or anything else like that, so that's kind of cool. So that's everything run at about 7. I'm going to turn up the treble just a little bit. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the 1964 Bassman? Wow, it's just a really awesome sounding amplifier. It's nice and clean, doesn't make a lot of hum or noise or buzz or anything else like that. I think my favorite configuration is splicing the two channels together. You just really get some beautiful lows, you really feel that bottom end, and you can really adjust the treble as well. And then somewhere in the middle you get nice mid-range as well. So it's very versatile. You can get to sound however you want. And that amazing Bassman 2 breakup at the higher volumes is just, it sounds awesome. It sounds like the 60s, it sounds like 60s rock, and it sounds like that Marshall kind of blues breaker sound if you get it set correctly as well. The cabinet sounds great too. I know the speakers aren't the best in there and they're kind of a mismatch, but altogether this rig sounds really great. I haven't figured out if I'm going to sell it yet because I do have a ton of amplifiers already, but I might have to sell something else and keep this thing because it sounds wild. Alright, so anyway, that has been today. Thank you for tuning in for Beckler Guitars and Repair, and we'll see you next time.